Hi everyone. The continuation of the previous video, we had seen about the how the food is being spoiled and like basic techniques for the extension or to preserve the food that is going to get spoiled. So in this video, let's see what are all the different methods. That is, we can categorize the methods based on the both traditional method as well as the modern method of preservation of food. So mainly why we have to preserve food. So mainly preserving is being done for our sustainability purposes only. So mainly for our future purpose only, we are going in for preserving our food. So there are like many preservation techniques that are being used to extend the shelf life as well as to reduce the cost of the food also. So let's have a journey upon that. So now we may wonder like why and how of food preservation. So this food preservation mainly in during those historical times, like we can how we can relate is there was a more scarcity of the food, that is all throughout the year. So the availability of the food also was actually a much wanted one in the previous previous years. So because keeping that in mind, now many technologies have been indulged in order to use latest techniques to in order to preserve the food, so that the food is made available all throughout the world. And also now they had actually made like many export oriented purposes are being serving more in the lot of food industry. And like coming into the as I told, in export oriented, actually they make it more supply globally. Actually they are not only targeting the cost, but also they are making it to supply globally. And main principle behind the preservation is nothing but it will stop the enzymatic spoilage and also the growth of the microorganisms within the food. So this is the basic thing. So coming into the, as I told in the starting of the video, we are going to discuss about the difference between the traditional technique and the modern technique of preservation. So in traditional technique, we can see like some of the few traditional technique is, we all know it is one major technique is the drying and the smoking. Other thing is we can also relate salting and fermentation, also one of the oldest or the traditional techniques. So obviously we all know what is drying. So basically sun drying is the basic method that has been adopted in any form of drying the produce or even the agriculture commodity. So keeping that in mind, actually the main motto behind drying is we are reducing the moisture content in the particular food material. So what is smoking? Smoking is nothing but it is actually like by the adding some antimicrobial compounds to the food, like they are actually passing the food through a smoke. So what happens is it will preserve the food actually, but additionally it will add some few flavor changes also in the existing food, so that it will give us some enhancing taste that tempts the end user to consume it. So examples of this dried or smoked foods is like we can see it is actually available in the markets, like dried fruits is being used by the technique of drying, or the smoked fish, or like dried dehydrated or the dried vegetables are also being available. So as I told, salting and fermentation is also one of the method. So salting, we all know what happens is that it will inhibit the growth of the bacteria that are present in the food. So like they are sprinkling or by applying the salt on the food, it will dehydrate the food. Ultimately it will help to preserve the particular food. Next is the fermentation. Fermentation is nothing but it is much more beneficial technique in order to preserve and to enhance the nutritional aspect also. So we can see in our household, we are doing a fermentation technique for the preparation of yogurt, pickles, and also like kimchi or the sauerkraut, and many other examples are also there for the process of fermentation. And coming to the modern technique, as we already discussed about the pasteurization, canning and sterilization, freezing, all these techniques comes under the modern methods of preserving the food material. So canning, we all know it is been like done by using airtight containers where it is being subjected to heat. So mainly all the modern techniques, the food is being packed, or it is being like not directly or indirectly, it is being subjected to heat to inactivate the microorganisms present and ultimately lead to preserve the particular food material. So commonly these techniques are adopted in milk, for processing of milk, for juice processing industry, and also in the beverages processing industries. So the modern technique is like one of the most important technique that are adopted nowadays is the irradiation technique and the modern atmospheric packaging. So mainly irradiation technique is nothing but based on the particular food material, some ionizing radiations are being passed over the on the top of the food, so that it will kill the bacteria that is present on the the layer of the food material. So this method was mainly approved by the Food and Drug Administration from the year 1963 itself. It was being put into practice. So modified atmospheric packaging is also one of the modern technique where we are incorporating gases with a mixture of carbon dioxide, nitrogen and oxygen to slow the spoilage level in the food material. So when we compare with the modern and with the traditional, so when we compare it, the traditional one will be more simple, and it like requires only, as we all know, it requires no lot amount of energy. But modern methods actually they are actually vice versa when we compare with the traditional one, but it gives a much longer shelf life. And traditional methods, when we adopt, it will alter the flavors, whereas here it's not much affecting, it is much scalable only. Okay, so both the methods actually they are concerned in preserving the particular food material only. So when we look into the future of food preservation, there are many emerging techniques in the field to preserve the food, like pulsed electric field, infrared IR radiation technique, and high pressure processing, etc. Like these are all the advanced technique where like we can preserve the food to a much longer shelf life. And also mainly why we are going in for preservation is mainly our goal is for sustainability. So we have to mainly focus on the reduction of energy and to minimize the wastage of the food only. And also ultimately we have to meet out the consumer demand as well as the impact on the globe. So consumer demand is like we have to make sure that all the foods are like available all throughout the year based on the demand of the consumer. So in that, keeping that in mind only, the food is being processed by using various techniques in order to preserve the food. Next, I would like to conclude by telling that mainly preservation will more affect, it will have a more effect on the impact globally. So it will like provide more in spite of the food security, it plays a major role. So thank you.